Okay, take two. For any of you who were live with us there, apologies. I don't really know what happened. I have been fighting an uphill battle with the internet all morning. And I've managed to get through most of lockdown without any major issues, but I knew that was going to stop at some point. So yes, thanks for your patience if you are live, and if you're watching this afterwards, you'll have no idea what I'm talking about. So yeah, I hope you're all good. I have a quick Pilates workout for you today. Full body. Is for kind of that mixed ability. So I'll give some different options if you're a beginner or if you're returning from injury, or if you have any other limitations, just listen out for the regressions. And if you want to push yourself on, then there's some advancements to the exercises as well. So I hope you all enjoy, and just as always, be mindful of your own body and just listen to it, because some movements are not for everybody. So bring yourself to standing, and we're going to start with some roll downs. So take your feet about hip width apart, stand up nice and tall for me. Start with a deep breath in, and then as you exhale, you're just going to tuck your chin towards your chest, roll your shoulders forward, and roll all the way down through your spine. So let your arms get nice and heavy, let your head get nice and heavy, and then take a little bend in the knees as well. Good, nice deep breath in here, and then as you exhale, I want you to feel your core muscles, your tummy muscles pull in, and your body starts to roll back up to standing nice and tall, lower, middle, upper back. Good, same again, breathe in. And then breathe out to roll down. So the chin tucks, the shoulders come forward, and your body just relaxes into that lovely rounded shape. So this is flexion of your spine, rounding the back. Breathe in, and then as you breathe out, roll yourself all the way up again. Good, extending up through the body and restoring your posture. Good, last one. So breath in, and then breathe out, roll all the way down. Now this time as you roll down, I want you to walk your hands out, keep your feet where they are. And you're going to bring yourself into a high plank position. Like if you're a complete beginner, then maybe you want to pop your knees on the floor and do this in 4-point kneeling. So full plank if you can, and you're just going to do a little bit of movement through the shoulders. So I want you to allow your chest to come down towards the floor. The arms stay straight, and then you push away from the floor. So it's inhale, let the chest sink, squeeze your shoulder blades together, and then exhale, push the chest away. So I'm working between my shoulder blades here, protracting and retracting them, which means they're pushing apart and then they're pulling together. Make sure that your tummy is drawn up and in, your ribs are lifting up and in, and you're nice and engaged through the bum muscles as well to help support the back and keep the pelvis in position. Just give me two more. So inhaling as you push away, exhaling as you squeeze your shoulder blades together and come down. Last one, inhale, push away, exhale, come down. And then find the middle of those two positions, so you're neither pushed all the way back or sinking all the way down. Now you're going to do a little bit of movement here with your feet. So I want you to step your left foot to the left, bring it back in, then your right foot to the right. So a little bit of movement to challenge your stability from left to right. A little bit of movement as well that will challenge your bum muscles just at the side of your hips. And I want you to keep your shoulders in that nice neutral position. So don't allow yourself to start to collapse into the shoulders. You want to keep that openness across the collarbones and keep your chest nice and open. Just look past your fingertips for me. You've got 4. Breathe. You've got 3. Nice job. Last 2. Well done. Last one. Feet together, knees down, and take a shell stretch. Round your spine. Reach your hips all the way back towards your heels. And take a nice deep breath in. Now I want you to feel the back of your chest expand as you breathe in here. And then I want you to relax and just let your chest sink down now a little bit lower. So your back is becoming a little bit flatter and you're walking your hands forward. Now you're going to take your hands over to the right hand side. So just creep your left hand across. Take your right hand a little further to the right and then sort of pull towards your left hip. So you're getting a big stretch down your left hand side. Inhale in. Exhale, try and release. Good, and then swap sides for me. So take your left hand across. Take your right hand to meet it. Big deep breath in. And then exhale to release. Good. So you'll feel that stretch in your lat muscles, which are just down at the side of the body. Maybe right down to the lower back. Good. Split the hands back to shoulder width apart again. Come back up onto hands and knees. You're going to just find your neutral spine. So just as a little recap, neutral means that your back has those natural curves in it. They're not too big, so we're not rounding the back or extending the back. We're just nicely positioned in the middle. So from here, you're going to rotate. I want you to lift your left hand, turn your chest to the left, and then thread your left hand in under your body and think about bringing your left shoulder towards the floor. Now, everyone's range is different here, so maybe your shoulder doesn't quite get to the floor. Maybe you find it very easy to get your shoulder to the floor, but it's all about getting that rotation from the middle of your back. So your thoracic spine is the part of your spine that your ribs are attached to. That's where you can get most rotation from. So think about turning through your middle back and not just swinging your hips. So sometimes if I'm tight, I'll shift my hips rather than using the middle back as I should. So just be mindful of that. Swap to the other side for me. So pop the left hand down and then lift the right, turning and then rotating. So remember to breathe still here. When you breathe, your ribcage expands. It helps extend the back a little bit. As you breathe out, it affects the spine as well. So make sure that you're not holding your breath. Good, just do 2 more. Get in that nice freeness through the middle of the back. Last one. And then rest. Perfect. From there, just roll over onto your back for me. We're going to come down into a little bit of work through the core. So we're just going to do some pelvic tilts to start off with. So I want you to position your feet on the floor about hip width apart. And I want you to think about that neutral back position again. So just like we said on hands and knees, you don't want your back to be rounding or arching. You want that little bit of space under the lower back, just enough for the fingertips to slide in. Relax your hands by your sides. So we're going to be peeling the spine up off the floor. Start with a breath in. As you breathe out, I want you to tip your pelvis back. So it's like you're trying to roll your lower back towards the floor. And then slowly start to peel your spine up. So start to lift your lower back. Start to lift your middle back. And then come all the way up onto your shoulder blades. Really important that you're on your shoulder blades here, not your neck. Your hips are up and through, but your ribs are not pushing up. So we're not arching the back. Breathe in here. And then as you breathe out, just slowly roll down and find the length in your back. So think about reaching one vertebrae away from the next, and roll right down and release to neutral. Good, go again for me. So deep inhale, expand the sides of the chest. And then as you exhale, feel all those deep core muscles. So all the muscles around and below the belly button are engaging here. They're helping you get that lovely tilt. And then you're peeling your spine up. Inhale at the top. And then exhale, roll all the way down. Upper to middle to lower. And then find neutral. Good, so give me your last one here. Breathe in. Breathe out to tilt back. Feel how you can move the spine in this lovely gradual way. So the spine is not one stiff movement that you do all at once. You have all of those little individual joints up your back to give you lots of range and lots of control. Now I want you to hold this one at the top for me. I want you to bring your hands onto either side of your pelvis or onto the side of the hips. And you're just going to do a few little tilts left and right for me. So imagine you've got sand in your pockets. I want you to tilt the sand out of the right pocket. Come back through center. Tilt the sand out of the left pocket. So it's just a little twist, left and right. Now, as you do this, I want you to feel what happens through the body. So feel how, as you drop your right hip down, your left hip lifts higher, your left side of your bum sticks out a little bit more to the left. And then as you go to correct that, your hip or your bottom just tucks in under, and your right side lifts up. And then you go the other way. Left side drops, the right side of the pelvis kind of swings out a little bit, and then you lift from underneath the left side to correct, and level the pelvis up again. Okay, now stay in the middle for me. Remember that principle. So we're going to start lifting the feet off the floor. Left foot is going to lift first. Do not let the pelvis move. Bring the left foot down. Right foot lifts. So I'm trying to get you to develop that control, that pelvic stability, so you're not twisting or offloading your weight when the leg lifts off the floor. So keep swapping left to right for me. Imagine you have a spirit level running across the front of your pelvis. You want to aim to keep that little bubble exactly in the middle. Or if you've got sand in the pockets, now the sand is definitely not coming out of the pockets. So you're keeping the pelvis completely still as the legs lift up and down. Your core muscles will work here, the side muscles of the core especially, and the side of the bum muscles as well. So they're really important in anti-rotational movement, so preventing rotation. Good. Okay, now next time your right knee is up, keep it up. So I want the right knee up over the right hip. You're going to lower your bottom all the way down, lift your bottom all the way up. So you lower down, tap the floor, lift up again. Now I want you to make sure as you start to go through this movement and as you start to get a little bit more tired, you don't start to let that right hip drop. So the left bum muscle doesn't swing out to the side. You keep it tucked in under. You keep the right side of your core engaged, and you push hard through that left heel to really engage that left glute. Good. Okay, now if you want to add a little bit extra, you can start to extend that right leg as you lift your hips. So it's just an option. If you're finding this single leg bridge tough, Then stay there, or if you need to, regress it back to double leg, so both feet on the floor. Good, you've got 4 more. Perfect, straightening the leg, last 3. Lots of height, lots of work through the left bum muscle, last 2. Good, okay, last bit, last one. It's just an optional extra if you want to advance it. You're gonna let your right foot sweep out to the side, bring it back in again. So this is gonna make keeping your pelvis still a lot tougher. Your weight's pulling you to the right, so you have to work extra hard not to let your body twist. Good, give me 3 more. Keep breathing. Last 2. Well done. Now last one, bring the toe to the top. Give me little pulses. Up an inch, jab, up an inch. Good, up to the ceiling. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Pop the right foot down. Now level your hips up again. And we're going straight onto that left side. So your left knee lifts, knee over hip, and then we're going all the way down, all the way up. So using your bum muscles is really important. A lot of people think that back issues come from a weak core, and sometimes that is the case. But a lot of the time, the bum muscles aren't working properly either. We sit on them all day, they get lengthened, they get weak, or they just get inactive, and we're not good at using them. So really focus on getting this into your bottom. If you're finding the back of your leg is working really hard, pull your heel in a little closer, or make your movement just a little bit smaller and focus on where you want to feel this. Start to add the reach of the left leg. So toe to the ceiling, shoulders relaxed, and active stretching through your left. Good. So it's all about recruiting the right muscles here, teaching the body to move in the most efficient way, so the best movement patterns. And right now, that's using the glutes, so 3 more. Good, last 2. Great, now last one, hold it up, and then that little advancement to take the left leg out to the left and back in. So it's kind of like a windscreen wiper. You're going out and back in, or from 10 o'clock back into 12 o'clock. So give me 3 more. Lift the left hip so the pelvis is level. Last 2. Good. Okay, now last one. Toe points to the ceiling. Little pulses. Down an inch, up an inch. You've got 4. You've got 3. Keep your height. 2. And 1. Foot down. Roll your spine down. And then just let your arms relax out to the sides. Let both knees roll right. And both knees roll left. Well done. Okay, you're going to come all the way up to sitting for me. So roll yourself up so you're sitting. I want your feet flat on the floor, and I want you to sit up right on the top of your sit bones. So I want you to feel like you're right on the points kind of the pelvis right underneath you, hands out in front. So we're going to do some half roll backs. So you're literally rolling your pelvis back, halfway back, and then you scoop through the core and roll all the way up again. So the first part of this movement is very similar to those hip rolls that we just did on the floor, where I was getting you to tilt your pelvis back and peel your spine off the floor. This time I want you to tilt your pelvis back and roll your spine down. Good. So don't just move your chest. I want you to roll away from the front of your thighs with the very front of those hips. So think about where your pockets are on your jeans, your trousers. Roll that part of your body away from your legs. So it's right at that junction of the hip and the pelvis that you start this movement from. Rolling back, scooping in, and coming up to sitting again. Good. Okay, so maybe you stay here. Maybe this is kind of your challenge today. If you want to add a little bit more, I want you to rotate. Sweep your right hand down and look at it as you do. Come back up to sitting. Then swap sides. Sweep the left hand down. Now, as you do this, you should feel the side muscles of the core start to work a little bit harder. I want you to make sure you're not rocking from one sit bone to the other. So just like I said at the start of class, you're rotating through the middle of your back, not through your lower back here. So the movement is all coming from the rib cage. It is not coming from lower down than that. So as you twist, think about keeping the hips level. Relax the front of the thighs. Good, you've got 1 more each side. Challenge yourself. Make sure you're rolling back far enough that you feel this in the core. Good. Okay, after this last one, come back up and then roll the halfway. So it's halfway. You're feeling comfortable here. So it's not like you're on your edge and quivering. And your tummy's going to stay scooped in. Your back is going to stay in this lovely C curve. You're going to reach your right hand up to the ceiling. Bring it back in front. And then out to the side and then to the middle. So it's up, down, out, in. Now, while you're doing this, your body will very much want to pop out through the ribs. So in other words, when the arms are moving, especially if the shoulders are stiff and immobile, the body will try to move the chest and push out. Try to avoid doing that. It will get harder if you do both arms at the same time. So if you're feeling comfortable with single arm, Try double arm. Both arms up, both arms out. Keeping your core engaged and keeping the tummy drawn in. You've got 5. Keep breathing. You've got 4. Scooping, pulling the belly button towards the spine. Last 3. Control it. Get plenty of range through the arms. Last 2. C curve in the body. Good. Okay, last 1. And then bring the arms back to the center. It's not over. I'm sorry. Bring your hands onto your thighs. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, press against your thighs with your hands. Pull the tummy in. You've got 4. Press 3. Press 2. And 1. Sit up. Well done. Good. Come onto your right hand side for me. I want you to just lie down in a nice long line. So straighten your right arm out. Rest your head down onto your arm. And then have a slight bend in the underneath leg. I want your top leg to be straight. Now, when you're lying on your side, being in a neutral position still applies. So just because we're not lying flat on our back, it doesn't mean that neutral doesn't exist. So I want you to make sure that you're thinking about length. Your underneath waist is slightly lifted, and you're keeping that kind of long sense of reaching through your left leg. So you're going to start off with some simple little circles. So your left leg is going to go back, up, and then forward and down. Now, when you're circling, the movement is coming from inside the hip socket. So the top of your leg, your femur bone, inside the hip socket. Where it is not coming from is the whole pelvis. So you're not rolling around through your whole hips. I want you to make sure you've got stability through the back and through the pelvis. So getting this into the hip will really allow you to work the muscles of the hip rather than trying to avoid them and do other things. Good. Okay, now change direction for me. I want you to make sure that there's always half of your circle out in front of your body and half of your circle behind your body. So we're getting a little bit of flexion through the front of your hip as your foot comes forward. And then you're actually extending your hip as your foot goes back. Good. So plenty of movement. Now pause there with your leg nice and long for me. You're going to bend your knee and flex the hip and bring your knee in like you're marching forward and then back. So notice how my foot, my knee, my hip are all the same height. And I also want you to notice how my back isn't moving. So it's not that I'm crunching up as my knee is coming in and then lengthening as my leg goes out. This whole side of my waist stays the same. The knee bends and then the leg extends. Good. We've got 4 more. Keep thinking about your breathing. Keep relaxed through your shoulders. Last 3. Perfect. Last 2. Good. Okay, on your last one, leg nice and straight. You're going to take your top arm, just use it for some balance, because your bottom leg is going to straighten as well. And I want you to give me little lifts and lowers of the bottom leg. So it's going to lift up, glue the top leg and the bottom leg together, and then relax the bottom leg down. So it's working that inner thigh of the right leg and still working the outside of the left leg. If you want to make it a little bit tougher, take your hand onto your top hip. It will just challenge the balance, but make sure the pelvis stays stacked. So there is no tipping forward or rolling back. Good. Now imagine you're trying to hold a piece of paper between your knees at the top. So there's literally no daylight between those knees. You've got 4. Perfect. Last 3. Keep your top leg high. Last 2. Well done. Now last one. Stick the legs together. Do not let them part. Give me little pulses. Both legs lift. As you lift both legs, the top leg should feel like it's reaching further. The bottom leg should slide up the inside of the top leg slightly. Good. 5. Lift 4. Good. 3. And 2. And 1. Have a rest. Well done. Perfect. Spin over onto hands and knees for me. We're going to stay with that left glute. So hands and knees, and you're going to position yourself in a nice 4-point kneeling position. So knees under the hips, hands under the shoulders. Back is neutral, so take a little minute to find that position. So I want you to keep your right knee on the floor. Your left leg is going to extend out long and then come all the way back in again. So it lengthens and then bends. Now, my most common mistake in this exercise is people shifting all their weight over to the right and lifting the left side of the pelvis up so that when the knee comes back in, there's plenty of space and there's not actually any work being done by the core at all. To do this exercise well is really tricky. So imagine you've got a ball balancing across your lower back and you're trying to keep it there. Don't let it roll off as your leg moves. Good. Now I want you to start to add your right arm. So at the same time as you extend your right leg, your left leg, extend your right arm. And imagine you're in a really narrow corridor, so you can't let your hips shift right or your arms shift left. You keep that lovely linear movement. Good. You've got 4. Perfect. Last 3. Keep breathing. Pull your left shoulder down away from your ear. Now hold your last one for me. From here, you're going to bring your hand and your knee towards each other and round your spine as you do so. So you're rounding, you're tucking, and then as you lengthen back out again, find your neutral spine. So you round the back, you draw the arm and the leg together, and then you lengthen to neutral. So a lot of people, when they round, get a lovely flexion position through their back, but then they come out and go far too much into extension, so don't arch your back. Neutral for me. 2 more. Rounding, breathe in, exhale, lengthen. Good, last one. Rounding, pull yourself all the way in, and then lengthen out and hold for me. Good. Now from here, bring your right hand to the floor. Advancement here. Curl your right toes in under. Lift your right knee off the floor. Good. So your right knee is hovering, your back is still neutral. You're going to tuck the left knee in, extend the left leg away. Bend and extend. Now, if you want to go full out with all the advancements today, you can add a little bit more. So as you straighten left leg, also straighten right leg. So you bend and then you extend. So you're into a lovely split pike movement. Squeeze your left bum muscle, push out of the hands, keep your ribs and your pelvis directed towards the floor, and work through your core. Squeeze the left bum muscle. 4, bend to neutral, extend. 3, last 2, well done, last 1, and rest. Perfect. Come all the way down. Take a shelf stretch just to take the weight out of your hands, round your back, deep breath in, and then just exhale and relax. Good. Okay, roll yourself over onto your left side for me now. So we're going to repeat a little sequence on the left. So a little bit of work through the outside of the hips and through the core. So nice long line through the body. Extend your left arm out. I want your bottom leg slightly bent just to help with the balance, and the top leg nice and long. So imagine you are reaching away with your top leg. Underneath waist is slightly lifted, hips are stacked. So starting off just with those circles. The foot goes back slightly. Make sure your foot goes back, that you don't kick your radiator. And make sure that you don't arch your back. So you're keeping your back nice and neutral. You come up, forward, and down. So the hardest part about this movement, I think, is not letting your back respond to what your leg does. Very, very easy, especially because most of us are tight through the front of the legs, to use your back to get your foot behind you rather than using your bum. So use your bum muscles and don't let the back create that big arch. Good. I reckon I must do about 1,000 of these circles through my hips a week because of all the classes I'm teaching at the minute. So normally when I'm teaching in class, I'll be around correcting everybody and moving around the place, but YouTube and Zoom don't allow me to do that. So make sure that you're keeping everything nice and still and try and keep that hip working as hard as mine is. Okay, so make sure you change direction. So you're circling and getting plenty of movement in front of the hip and behind the hip. Good. Okay, now come back to the center for me, and you're going to start those little knee bends. So bending the knee in, extending the leg away. Good. Now remember, this doesn't cause the side of your body to collapse. So when the knee comes in, it's not that we're crunching up. We're not tucking. So I'm always going on about this phrase, disassociating. So disassociating the leg and the hip movement from the back. So in other words, having the stability in certain places to brace and to keep your body in a nice safe position while you move elsewhere, rather than your whole body just moving at once and together. Good. 3 more. Bend, extend away. Last 2. Good. Okay, my last one, leg nice and straight. Good. Holding it there. You're going to take your top arm, bring it onto the floor. Bottom leg straightens, and then it's going to lift up to meet the top leg. So you're going to feel this in the inner thighs. So the adductor muscles that pull the legs together are going to work here. Now make sure your top leg doesn't do a little sneaky drop down to help the bottom leg. I want the bottom leg to do plenty of work here. And again, imagine you are trying to hold a piece of paper in between your knees. So there is no space. You've got 3. Lovely. You've got 2. Well done. Now last one. Glue the feet together and give me these little lifts. Remember, the top leg should feel like it's longer. Your bottom leg is sliding up the inside of the top leg. 4. Good. Lift 3. Core engaged. Last 2. Good. And 1. Well done. Rest down. Spin to hands and knees for me. So still in that right glute. We've got hands and knees. We've got a 4-point kneeling setup. So spread your hands nice and wide like a starfish. So you've got that weight spread through them. You've got your knees under your hips and you've got your back in neutral. Okay, you're going to extend the right leg out behind you. So find that length from your shoulder all the way down to your toes. And then begin by drawing that knee all the way in and then lengthening the leg all the way out. So again, common mistake. Remember not to let your hips just swing left. And don't get carried away with the leg movement and look what happens to the back. So stabilize that back to fully engage your bum muscle. If you don't keep your back still, your bottom won't work as hard as it could, and therefore it doesn't get as strong as it could, and it will never learn to do the movement as it should. So you want to force the bum into the position that it has to work, and it can't let the back do the work for it. Good. Start to add your left arm, so lengthen it out, draw it back in, extend, and then bend back in. So lots of stability. I want you to make sure that your right shoulder is pulled down away from the ear. Your weight is still spread through your hands, and you feel in control. Core pulling in. 4. Good. Last 3. Nice job. Last 2. Good. Now on the 1, we bring the hand all the way into the knee. We round the spine as we do so. Then when we lengthen arm and leg out, we find neutral. So rounding and then finding neutral. And finding neutral is something you really want to learn to do. You want to get used to your body knowing where that is, because it's the safest position for your back, it's the most stable position, it's the most efficient position for you to work from. So you want to get to know what feels right and be able to find it. Last 2. Good. Last 1. Bring your left hand down. Now advancement if you want to. Curl the toes under on the left foot. Lift the left knee. You tuck and you extend. And then that last little option, if you want to go all the way, is to extend left leg as well. So just watch you're not going to kick anything. Extend and then bend both legs. Return to neutral, shoulders down and back, and then strong through the core. Make sure that your body is happy. It feels nice and stable in these positions. Last 3. Good. Last 2. Well done. Last 1. And then rest. Bring those knees down and take another shell stretch. Round your spine. Reach your hips back. Deep inhale breath. Exhale to relax. Good, great work. Okay, I want you to bring yourself onto your knees for me. Now, if you're on a hard floor, a cushion or rolling the mat up is probably a good idea. So I'm just going to bring a cushion in, coming onto my knees. We're going to do a little bit of hinging here. So this is going to challenge the muscles in the front of the legs, but it's also going to challenge your ability to stabilize through your hips and your ribs and your shoulders. So making sure that the shoulders don't go back or forward, or the ribs, so we keep everything aligned. So I want you to start off with your hands crossed over your chest. You're going to take a breath in, and as you breathe out, I want you to start to hinge from your knees. So your body goes back in a nice straight line, and then squeeze your bottom, come forward. Now, a lot of people don't really like this movement, and they worry they're going to tip. So pick a spot on the wall in front of you, and as you go back, just keep looking at it. So if you end up seeing the ceiling, something's gone wrong. Don't let your back arch. So this is not a back bend. Keep your bum muscles tight, keep your core pulled in, and then feel that squeeze in your glutes and the work in the front of your quads. Good. Okay, now you can keep going here, or to advance this a little bit more, take your arms out in front, hinge back. You reach up to the ceiling, making sure that your ribs do not pop up. Hands come down, body comes forward. So it's a hinge from the knees. You bring the arms up, but keep the ribs in, so no pushing the chest out. Hands come down and come through. Good, give me 3 more. Now focus in. So try and get more range. Try to open up through the front of your thighs and try to focus on your core being tight. Good. Okay, last one for me. So back, reach up, reach forward, hold it. Good. Bring your hands onto your hips. Just hold it. Keep pressing the feet down into the floor. Squeeze the bum. Pull the core in. Can you go back any further for 4? Chest open. 3 and 2. And 1, well done. Perfect. Let's stretch those hip flexors. So get rid of your cushion. Bring your right foot forward and take your hands either side of your right foot. And then just walk your left knee back. So start to take the knee back, and you should feel a stretch down the back of your right hamstring and through the front of your left hip. Now, maybe this is all you need to feel that stretch, and if that's the case, then fine. If you want a little bit more of a stretch, lift your left knee off the floor and then bring it down again. Now notice how my hips are not really lifting. So in other words, we are not doing this. We are straightening the leg, trying to keep the hips low. Think about pushing your heel back rather than thinking about lifting your hips up. Just give me 4 more. Squeeze the left bum muscle, use the left quad, last 3. Good. Last 2. Well done. And 1. Pop the knee down. And then just gently take your hands back slightly and swap the feet out. So left foot forward, hands either side of the left foot, and then just lean into your stretch and walk your right knee back a little bit. So you'll feel the front of your right hip opening. You'll feel the back of the left hamstring stretching. Alrighty, so from here, hold it if you need to stay here. And if you want that little bit more, lift the knee, lower the knee. So I'm tighter on this side. I'm definitely a lot more tempted to lift my hips up and try to avoid this stretch. So keep the hips low and only lift that knee as much as you can tolerate. Stretching is not meant to be painful. It might be a little bit uncomfortable if you're tight, but know the difference between a bit of discomfort and a bit of tension compared to pain. So last 3. Last 2. Good. And then last 1. Rest the knee down. Perfect. Just walk your hands back. Bring that left knee behind and underneath you. Then you're just going to pop your hands down again. I want you to grip the floor with your toes. I want you to lift your knees up. And I want you to push yourself back into a nice stretch for the back of the legs. Take a little pedal right and left. Now you're trying to push away from your hands here, as if you're trying to push your chest towards your thighs. And use the muscles in the front of your legs to help you straighten them. And then walk your hands all the way in. And bring yourself all the way up to standing. Take your time as you roll up. And bring yourself to upright. Good. Okay, we're going to finish with a little bit of balance work and a little bit of rotation. Now, again, just like we did at the start of class, in terms of rotation, I want it to come from the rib cage. So I don't want your hips to be the moving part here. So option 1 is to do this with both feet on the floor. You will still be working through rotation and you'll still be having to stabilize your hips. But if you want to make this a little bit harder, I'm going to get you to stand on one leg. So this is where it gets funny for me because I can't balance very well sometimes. So right foot stays on the floor, left knee lifts. Now imagine you have headlights on the front of your pelvis, so they are shining directly forwards and they stay that way. The arms come out to 180 degrees with your palms turned down. Now you're going to be turning right only here, so I want you to breathe in. As you breathe out, think about growing nice and tall and turning to your right, but your hips are still pointed forward, so you're pushing your right hip forward to stop it twisting with you, and then come back to the center. Good, same again, breathe in. Exhale, turn right. So as you turn, your body's going to want to twist. Don't let your knee turn in. Keep thinking about pushing your right hip forward. Feel your right bum muscle work. And come back to the center. Good, just do 1 more for me. So breathe in, breathe out, lengthen and turn. And then come back to the center. Now stay here if you can. I want you to bring your hands onto your hips. See if you can keep your knee at exactly the same height. And extend the leg. Bend the leg, extend the leg. Now what you don't want to do here is sit into the bottom. So if you're tight through your hamstrings or weak through your hip flexors, you will tend to want to sit down to straighten your leg. Only work out as far as you can with the leg. Maintain the back. You've got 3 more. You've got 2 more. You've got 1. And rest. Well done. Good. Let's do the other side. So left foot down. If you were doing double leg, just stay on double leg. So left foot and then right knee lifts. Hands come out to the side. Inhale, breath. Think about lifting up out of the hips to the ribs. As you turn left, grow taller. So you're lovely and elongated through your body, giving you space to rotate. And then come back through center. Inhale again. Exhale, turn left. Make sure your shoulders aren't starting to slide up to your ears. And back through the center. Good. Last one. Inhale, breath. Exhale, turn left. Keep your body upright as you rotate. Back to the center. Hands to the hips. And we do those leg extensions. So straighten and bend. Now I'm much stronger in my right hip flexor, and it's obvious when I'm doing this because I can get my leg out without the same work through my core. I really feel much easier here. So you might find a difference too, but focus on core, back, neutral. 3 more. Last 2, no slumping through the lumbar spine. Last 1, and rest. Well done. Take your feet just a little wider than your hips. Bring your hands up overhead, interlace your fingers, and reach up to the ceiling. And then take a lovely side bend to the right. Roll the body forward. And come up the other side. Good, and then change directions. So down to the left. Roll the body forward. Come up to the right. Good, take a nice deep breath in. Let your shoulders slide up to your ears. And then let your hands part, let your shoulders drop down. And do one more nice big shrug for me, all the way up. And all the way down. Finish with a roll down. So just tuck your chin towards your chest. Roll your shoulders forward. Slowly round your spine. And soften the knees. Now when you're at the bottom, just let the heaviness of your head draw it down. Let your arms hang out of the sockets. Have a lovely little sway left and right. Notice just how much better the body feels. So well done for making that little bit of time for your body today, looking after yourself. Take that nice deep breath in. And then as you exhale, tuck your tail. Draw the core in. Roll up through the spine slowly. Lower, middle, and upper. Shoulders back. Well done. Good job, everybody. Sorry for the technical difficulties at the start if you were here and experienced that. But yes, still a YouTube amateur. So thanks so much. I hope you all enjoyed. Any feedback or requests, as always, just fire through an email to Queens, especially if there's moves that you're struggling with or issues that you're having. And I can get in touch. But yeah, thanks so much again, and I'll hopefully see you all soon.